this is not her story, right? But it's wild how this morning I woke up to multiple DMs from girls telling me stories about how they had witchcraft done on them by their partners. Or girls telling me stories about how they know of a guy who used witchcraft on his girlfriend. And I'm going to tell you one of them because she actually said I could. So this is a DM. If I look like I'm reading, it is I'm reading. I just want to make sure that I get her story fully right because she gave me permission to share it. I want to share it the right way. Anyway, she says, "Hey girl, I saw your video and funny enough, I actually have a similar story. I'm not confident enough to share it on my TikTok, so let me just tell you. So I was dating this guy from Mamelodi. Cantinello, Mamelodi. Okay. So at first he was the sweetest, always buying me small gifts, making me laugh and everything. At that point in time, he had a job, but then he lost his job and he started driving Uber. Another Uber driver, guys, Nienzani. What are you guys doing? But at this point, he seemed a little bit depressed, but he started driving Uber. And shame, this time around, I was the one giving more because I knew that he needed me and I wanted to be a supportive girlfriend. So I would give him money for petrol. There was a time where his Wi-Fi was disconnected, so I would buy him airtime because he needs to have internet to do his Uber. I would also get him food and everything. One time, my homegirl came to me and told me, by the way, this was my best friend of over 10 years. She came to me and told me that she saw my boyfriend, we're going to call him Utabo. We saw my boyfriend with another girl, and when I confronted him, he said, no, you know I drive Uber, so it is just a client. However, my best friend told me that they were holding hands, but for some reason, some odd reason, I actually believed him. He told me that my best friend came on to him and that my best friend wanted nothing, that didn't want like good things for me. So at that point in time, I called my best friend out and my best friend actually blocked me. Anyway, I forgave him for cheating. I couldn't even fight him properly. I would excuse everything. At that point in time, a lot more things started happening. He was in a car accident and he needed to fix his car. So I gave him money to fix his car. Look, if you guys are not married, it's not our money, it's your money. Like I would, if my husband was to be in an accident, I'll give him money. But if he needed it, not that he would need it, but if he needed it, I would. But look, to each their story. I gave him money to fix his car. Despite everything else, this was my savings. He carried on being a little bit shady, but whenever I would want to fight him, I would just run out of energy and I would excuse it all. And then she says, there was a time where I got very, very sick. This was after I had dumped him because I suspected him of cheating. I got very, very sick to the point that I had to be hospitalized. He came to the hospital to see me carrying flowers, and I immediately forgave him the moment I saw him. We then got back together and everything was fine for like a week or two where he just kept showering me with gifts, buying me stuff. But right after that, he started his whole thing again. And out of nowhere, he never had money. So I was the one always giving him money. My other friend called me out on it and said that this guy was using me. I blocked her. Anyway, then my mom started having these hectic dreams about me. She kept dreaming I was sitting at a table being fed food by people with no faces. She was so stressed, she took me to her prophet. First of all, if my mom told me that she had a dream about me, I would immediately believe her because my mom doesn't play. My mom prays. Anyway, she was so stressed, she took me to her prophetess in, I'm not gonna say the name. That woman just looked at me and said, your daughter is being tied by her partner. That's why she cannot see him for who she is. She needs a cleansing. Me? I laughed. I was like, no way. Tabo is such a nice guy. Until one night. First of all, I'm not one to believe like the words of people. I'm very like, I don't believe the words of people. But guys, if it was my mom, I would have believed immediately. Like, my mom prays. So my mom tells me something is fishy, something is fishy. Anyway, until one night, I was at his place and like always, Tabo bought me this pink satin pillow when we first started dating. It was cutesy, and it's like that set that you would buy from like Mr. Price or whatever. So I would always use this satin pillow because I have an afro and I like to maintain my hair. I didn't think much of it, and I'd been using it every time I slept over at his place. But that night, I had the same dream my mom described, sitting at a table being fed food by faceless people. However, the food was not food, but it was expired food with maggots. I woke up in the middle of the night sweating and I started praying. I prayed and prayed and prayed. Then something told me, check the pillow. When I opened it, inside was a picture of me with a needle stabbed right through my neck in the photo. He done dip inside the stuffing. I almost fainted. At that moment, I would have rang my mom and asked her to come fetch me. And she would have came through with a bottle of holy water and we would have poured it over Utabo or whoever he is, because you don't play with me and my mom spiritually. Okay. Anyway, I didn't confront him. She's braver than me. I would have immediately left. I just swapped the pillow with a different pillow and went back to sleep. In the morning, he noticed I wasn't using that pillow. He didn't ask, but he was watching me funny and he was very irritated the entire morning. As soon as I got home, I blocked him everywhere. WhatsApp, Instagram, everything. I told my mom and we went back to the prophet. They prayed for me and did cleansing. They told me that it would have been better if I had the pillow with me so that they could burn it. However, I was too scared to go back, so I just never saw him again. Guys, this is scary. That guy literally took time to get her a pillow. Oh my god, guys, if you have a prayerful mom and she tells you something is fishy, please believe her. Oh my god, you guys, tell me all your stories. I am nosy. Tell me all your stories, but this is wild. The DMs keep coming and they're so scary. And some of them, I know I'm nosy, but some of them are so scary, guys. Anyway, I'm going to share one of the scariest ones that I got. So basically, I'll try to summarize it and try to go quickly because it's long. It spans quite some time. But anyway, let's jump straight into it. So, this girl, her name, we're gonna call her some Siwe. So she met this guy on a dating app. He's a vendor guy. He works at one of the top banks, and boy was he spending the money on her. He had money for days. So Samu is also in finance, so she knew that this boy had more money than they normally make at a bank. So she asked him and he said that basically he invested in some stuff like properties, crypto, stocks and everything, and his investment were essentially what was giving him this lifestyle. While they first started dating, he was always showering her with so much gifts, so much money, like she had never been taken care of the way she was being taken care of. 3 months into their relationship, she actually lost her job. And she was going on interviews, just trying everything, and she just wasn't getting a job. But she wasn't very stressed because at this point in time, Samu stayed with her parents. Her parents don't have a lot of money, but they are middle income. They are quite comfortable. So anyway, she could just stay with her parents. In addition to this, Boy was actually making sure that everything she needed was taken care of, whether it was, maintenance, hair, food, groceries. He made sure that she was taken care of. She also had savings, but she never had to dip into her savings because this is how much this man was coming through for her. When I was reading this, I was like, this guy sounds like a green flag. I almost forgot that this is a witchcraft story because of how it seemed like this is the type of ending or the type of story, type of love a lot of us want. Anyway, out of nowhere she started fighting with her family a lot, especially her mom. She really felt like her mom at this point in time was always picking on her, always finding something. She was always fighting with her mom, always fighting with siblings. Her parents actually sat her down and told her that she was being very, very rude and quite a bully to her siblings. But however, she felt like everybody else was bullying her. Every time she would fight, she would go to Chifiwa, her boyfriend, and basically tell him what happened. And he would always say that he thinks that her family is looking down at her because she has lost her job. I feel like if your partner talks mad shit about your family, that's a red flag, in my opinion. I feel like that's a red flag. Anyway, it got to a point where I just could not, she says, anyway, it got to a point where she just could not stand staying with her parents and her family, so she decided to move out. Her boyfriend immediately offered his place and said that she can move in with him. He had an apartment just outside of Sandton. So she didn't want to go stay with him because at this point in time they were dating for about 4 to 5 months, and she felt like everything was too soon. And also she comes from a very traditional family, and as much as she was fighting with her family, she knew that her family, especially her father, would not like the idea of her moving in with a boyfriend. So instead she moved in with one of her best friends who she had lived with in varsity. So they had been roommates in varsity. However, the moment she got there, they were always fighting. Like, they were always fighting. She doesn't even know why. And they had stayed together. Remember, they stayed together in varsity and they never had a problem. But now they were always fighting. And one of the fights was actually her friend said to her that Chifiwa is a bit controlling, but she felt like her friend was just talking mad shit basically. And she was happy because Chifiwa was making sure that she was taken care of. She was still applying for jobs. She was still going for interviews, but nothing was going in for her. Anyway, a few weeks after she moved in with her best friend, they were fighting nonstop. So she decided, for the sake of the friendship, she should move out. So this time she moved in with her boyfriend Chifiwa. She didn't tell anyone, like her family and everything. Her and her best friend agreed that when anybody asks, they'll say she's living with the best friend, but instead she's gonna move in with a boyfriend. The first month of living with her boyfriend was bliss, she says. She says that he was providing everything, like he was taking care of everything. She had never felt that loved, that pampered, that provided for her entire life. She did, however, keep looking for jobs because she really was like one of those girls. She went to school, she studied, she really wanted to use her degree, and she felt like not doing that was a little bit depressing. However, every time she would like vent to Chifiwe about not being able to find a job and and everything, he would always tell her that why is she even looking for jobs? He got her, he's going to take care of her, which she knew that is true. He was definitely going to take care of her. He was definitely going to take care of everything, but she really wanted to have her own things because that's how she was raised. That's the type of person she is. Anyway, 6 months went by. So now they've been living together for about 6 months. They've now been dating for almost a year. She still had no job. Her and her family were still not. Her family actually found out that she had moved in with a boyfriend, and there was a whole blowout about it. And so she was not talking to her family at all. And on top of that, she was being a little bit distant with her friends. The only people that she really was hanging out with were like people that were Chifiwa's friends, like his friends, girlfriends, but like her own friends, she hardly saw them. And she always felt like for some reason, whenever she spent time with her friends, they were annoying her for some reason. She goes on to say that there were no red flags. And in my opinion, I have already picked up multiple red flags. The first red flags, it felt like he's love bombing her, and I might be over analyzing the situation, but to me it feels like he's love bombing her. The second thing, to me, him saying, oh, your family is looking down at you, like your partner should never talk nonsense about your family. Like, unless your family is extremely toxic, I feel like your partner can't just go and talk mad nonsense about your family. The second thing is, I feel like he has isolated her, or she has isolated herself from everybody because of this relationship, which is a red flag. Because if you read any books, any articles, or anything like that, one thing about like abusive relationships, whether it's emotional or physical, and in this case it's spiritual abuse, you like she's isolated her. She's being isolated. But she claims at this point that there were no red flags. Let's carry on. She says that there were no red flags. She was pretty much his egg. There was nothing she needed that he was not providing. She then found out that she was pregnant. This time they'd been dating for a year. She's pregnant. She really didn't feel like keeping it because she still didn't have a job, and she really wanted to go back into her career. He begged her and told her that he loves her so much, he'll take care of everything. She should keep the baby. So she decided to keep the baby. 3 months later, she had a miscarriage. It was the most painful thing she ever experienced, and the biggest pain of it was that she was suddenly a little bit distant, and she also did not have her family or her friends. Nonetheless, she told herself that Chifio was grieving, and this is how he grieves, so she let it go. She was alone, but anyway, she says life moves on. She says after the miscarriage, they went on a vacation to Italy. This was the first time. She was so happy during the trip. He was back to himself, being all lovey-dovey and everything. 4 months after that, she found out that she was pregnant again. Again, he said that they should keep the baby. And that he was actually going to make the effort to go speak to her family and pay lobola and everything. The week that he was supposed to go do all of that, she miscarried again. This video is too long, and her story goes on, so I'm gonna leave it here, guys. Like, this is insane. Just wait for part 2. Okay, bye. So we left with the part where she's pregnant again. She still doesn't have a job, but they decide that they're gonna keep it. He says that like she's not speaking to her family, but he says that he wants to go talk to her dad and put everything in order. The week that he's supposed to do that, go talk to her dad, pay for her lobola and everything, she has another miscarriage. So okay, so she has had the other miscarriage. Again, the same thing happens for he's a little bit like distant in that moment when she's going through all of that. And this time it's actually worse that she gets hospitalized. She says that she got hospitalized because she had severe blood loss. Her family actually found out that she was hospitalized and they came to see her. The moment her mom saw her, mom was crying. And then when her mom found out that this was not her first but her second miscarriage, her mom literally cried. Then her mom explained to her that after the first baby was lost, they were supposed to do a cleansing because that's very important in their culture to do. The mom says that this time around she's going to make sure that everything is done, and she agrees. She then tells her boyfriend. Her boyfriend literally loses his mind. He says this whole thing is outdated. He and her do not believe in those things. He's Venda, by the way, and I think in the Venda culture, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they might have that same practice. But anyway, he says these are outdated practices. He doesn't believe in those things. In fact, he actually bashes her mom and her family. He says to her, this is not the first time you had a miscarriage, and I'm pretty sure your family has always known. They knew about the first one, but they never showed up. Why are they showing up now? He said to her that, in that moment in time, his investments were doing so well. He had left his job and he was starting his own company, which was doing really, really well. And they had actually just signed for a new house. So he was like, don't you think it's suspicious that your family is showing up now and everything? And she says that she knew that like her family really loves her, especially her mom, and she knew that her mom wouldn't do anything to harm her. But for some reason, like everything that he was saying, although it didn't make sense in her head, she was going along with it. So anyway, she VN'd her mom and told her mom that like, no, I'm not going to do the cleansing. Please don't come see me again. The mom VN'd her back crying and telling her that like, this is not you. I'm so scared for you. We need to do things the right way. So she blocked her mom and she just carried on with her life. So she says after she came out of the hospital. Sorry, I'm just trying to read her story so long. But anyway, she says when she was better and she got out of the hospital and she was better, her boyfriend bought her a new car to make her feel better. A year passed out and it was a very challenging year for her. She was always sick. She still didn't have a job. She was not talking to her family. She was not talking to her friends, like I said. And the only thing that she really had was him. And then he then came up to her one day and he told her that basically like since the family is acting up and everything, he thinks that he really wants to marry her and he's gonna buy her a ring and he thinks that they should go to the courts and sign. She just felt very tired and very empty. This was supposed to be a very happy moment in her life, but she felt like very, very like depressed and everything. But anyway, she said yes to him and she said she was going to go to court. They're going to sign. He bought the ring and everything. So at this point in time, she is his fiance, right? They're engaged. But she still feels very, very like, she feels very, very depressed, and he says it's understandable because she has lost the second baby. So what he does is he says that she can start helping at his company, the company that he started, and he can start doing that. And then she is very excited about that. She starts doing research on his investments. She really wants to get involved. So every time she'll come to him and be like, oh, I have this idea. Let's do this. Let's do that. You said you're going to give me access to this. You're going to show me this and this about your company. He would like be a little bit distant, and then he then said to her that they should start trying for another baby. And it was okay since they were getting married anyway. She didn't really want to do it, but she said yes. And soon she was pregnant again. And this time she said she was so scared and so paranoid. She just did not want to lose another baby. She remembered what her mother said, so she called her mother. She was a little bit ashamed, about how she had behaved, and now she was calling her mom. But you know what? She really didn't want to lose another baby, so she just put her shame aside and called her mom. Her mom answered, and as if nothing happened, and her mom told her to come home, and they were going to deal with it. So she went home to see her mother without telling him, right? When they got there, her mom took her to a nyaka, like I think a witch doctor, inyanga, or I'm 100% sure. She said, she says, enyaka, and the nyaka basically told her that the particular cleansing that they were coming to do, there was no need to do the cleansing because the first two children that she was carrying were not life children. The nyaka said they were not life children because her boyfriend had already eaten them. And instead, what they needed to do, they needed to like remove the spells that he put on her and everything. She said that she can't go into detail like on what exactly the boyfriend had done to eat the kids or what exact rituals that needed to be done because these are very sacred in her culture and everything. And I understood, I don't want to disrespect people's cultures. So she says that when she got home, she was very scared. She kind of was like in disbelief about this thing because she knows her boyfriend and she knows how much her boyfriend loves her. So she went home. She was thinking, like this Nyaka is probably talking nonsense. When she got home, her now fiance was, I don't know why I did that, but her now fiance was waiting. He, like, when he saw her, he was so angry. He immediately like slapped her. This was a shock to her because he had never like done anything, never raised a hand on her, never harmed her or anything like that. He then went on to say that her mother is a witch and that her mother wants to harm her child. And she was so shocked because really, like, this man has always treated her like an egg. This man has never shouted at her before. And also, how did he know that she had gone to the Nyanga? Because she didn't tell him. Anyway, she says she apologized. She acted like everything is fine. The next day when he was not around, she Ubered herself to her parents' house. Because for the first time, like, everything was clear in her mind. When she got home, her and her parents, including her dad, who's never involved in these things, like her and her parents, they went to the Nyaka. When she got to the Nyaka, she started crying and she was just saying that she really, really wants to keep this baby. Is there a way to, like, save the baby that she's carrying? Now, she couldn't lose another baby. He told her that even if he did, the baby will have complications. She refused, and she told him that she can't lose another one. They did the whole ceremony thing. The boyfriend kept coming, the now fiance or ex-fiance at this point, kept coming to her parents' house wanting to fetch her. He was very disrespectful to everyone, including her father. She was shocked that she actually never noticed how condescending and how disrespectful he was to her family. She refused, so he left, but he kept calling her. He kept showing up everywhere she was, even if she never told him like where she was. She then eventually called the cops and got a restraining order against him. But she then says, as you know, you cannot get a restraining order from someone, a spiritual restraining order from someone. So she was never getting any sleep. Like, she was not, mind you, she's pregnant, but she's not sleeping. Every single night she's fighting in her dreams. At that time, she was rekindling with most of the people that she alienated when she was with him. Most of them, but one of her friends, who actually shocked her, told her that she always knew something was off and was always praying for her that one day her eyes would be open. This is the same friend that she went to live with, the friend that she started having the fights with, and the friend that would, say that Chifio was abusive, was controlling. And she remembers how the boyfriend, she hated the now ex-fiance, hated that particular friend. So they started getting really, really close again, as if nothing had happened. She invited her to a church, prayed with her, told, like, whenever she's having dreams where she is fighting, she must force herself to start praying in those dreams. She did, and then she started, sleeping a little better. 7 months into the pregnancy, she was told that the baby's heartbeat was weak and there might be complications if she carried to full term. She really told herself that she was not going to lose this baby. She obviously had the conversation with her friends. Her friend told the people at the friend's church, and they appointed like a prayer group and intercessors on her behalf, who even fasted for her until the birth of the baby. And she gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. She says after she gave birth, she heard that Chifiwa was in a car accident. He survived. However, for some reasons, his businesses were not doing well anymore. Now he's back in Limpopo, staying with his family. She says that she wishes her story had a happy ending, but it doesn't, because her baby girl had heart complications and died a year later. She says she misses her daughter every day. After her baby passed on, she's had multiple panic attacks. She's paranoid. She always feels like there is someone out there like watching her or doing something to her. She has never dated again. She did find a job, and on the good side, she did find a job, and she has her family and friends here with her again. Like, when I was reading her story, I was like very terrified. Hey, like, this is crazy business. 2 miscarriages. She was gonna lose the third one too, if it wasn't for her mom, if it wasn't for her friend. And then what broke me was the fact that the baby still died. Like that really, really broke me. But like, guys, these are things that I know that these things happen, but this sounds like a Nigerian movie or something. Like, I'm not playing with you guys. This sounds like a Nigerian movie. This was scary. Anyway, I'm gonna take a break from my DMs. I can't. I'll share I'll share those with happy endings. I can't share, like, this one really made me cry last night. I know you guys have been waiting for this, so here you go, another Abafana by a lawyer story. But first of all, you guys are not about to turn me into that person who just comes on TikTok to tell stories about witchcraft. Please, that is not about to become my personality. Okay? Okay. Anyway, I got this DM from a girl. We're gonna call her Mandy. So Mandy DM'd me about how she realized that her boyfriend was actually using witchcraft on her. But twist is she doesn't think that the boyfriend knew that he was using witchcraft. She thinks that the boyfriend's mom gave him something to give to her, which essentially was juju. Anyway, let's get into it. So Mandy says that she met her boyfriend while they were both studying at UJ. They dated the entire time. They had their ons and off, up and downs, whatever. They met each other's parents. The mom never liked her from get-go. The mom never liked her from the get-go. From the get-go, she knew it. But anyway, she really, really loved him. We're going to call him Uspusi. So she really, really loved Uspusi. So that she decided that she was going to put up with it. And Uspusi loved her. Uspusi treated her well. She didn't have any reason to like doubt Uspusi. She says that she really wishes that she would have been able to make the relationship work with him because he didn't cheat on her. He was not abusive. It was just that he was using black magic. I mean, girl, that's like a huge no. That's a huge red flag. Like okay, but let me get straight into it. So they met. At UJ they dated. Their parents met. They loved each other. They dated throughout varsity. They started working. Usbu was an engineer. She was she did what marketing. So when she graduated, she got a job. Usbu got a job. They were happy and everything. But the issue was always like the mom. The mom would always like tell Sbu that yeah now Umendi is like this, like that, like this. That the mom would tell Usbu that. So the mom is a sangoma, right? And the mom would tell Sbu that Mendi has like a spiritual husband or whatever. Mendi is this and that. Mendi's that, and so Mendi, like the mom would say anything and everything to like try and break them apart. Mind you, like Mandy is Christian. Mandy prays. Mandy's from a Christian family. She does not play like that. So all of these things, like even when Sbu come and tell him, Guti, you know my mom is a sangoma and my mom, like she knows these things. Maybe you should come and talk to my mom. Mandy would tell herself that she won't go because she's very Christian. And she, you know what the story reminds me of? I used to always roll my eyes when people would say this, but it's so true. Like sometimes when you are unequally yoked with someone, it is very dangerous. And this was their relationship. Anyway, so Mandy would then go like talk to her mom, and then her mom would be like, "Let's pray about it." And I don't think this is what's happening. You don't, it's okay. Then fast forward 2 years later, they're still dating. They think of moving in together, but again, Mandy's from a very Christian family, so yeah, now she's like, I can't just move in before we like, get things done, get married in church. Whereas Sbu's mom is like, they must do it the traditional way, and so Sbu and Mandy are like, okay, fine, we'll do it both ways. So they compromise and they do it both ways. Mandy says that they had to, slaughter an animal and they had to, like cover her with certain things. I'm not going to go into it because that's people's customs. I'm not going to go into details. She didn't really feel comfortable because she's very Christian, but she went with it. She went with it. She loves Sbu. They're getting married. So anyway, they got married. They had a very small church wedding with very few people. They were happy. They were over the moon. Cool. Then they decide that they want to have kids. So so at that point in time, Mandy's like, I'm gonna fast, I'm gonna do everything so that we can have kids. So they start trying to have kids, they don't have kids. So then Mandy's a little bit frustrated. Boo can see that Mandy's a little frustrated because she always wanted to be a mom, like always. Her plan was after getting married, she's immediately gonna start having kids. Spoo is like, don't worry about it, it's okay. But then Spoo sees that she's very, very frustrated, and Spoo decides to go to talk to his mom, and his mom basically gives Spoo like some like imiti for Mandy to drink. Mandy really didn't want to do it, but she felt pressure because she's the one who kept bringing up not having a kid. She's the one, so that she became a little bit desperate and she started to take it. She says when she started to take that thing, sometimes she would feel like something is moving in her stomach. She will feel like something is moving. There was a time where she didn't go on her periods for like 3 months straight. She thought like, oh, it's finally happened, I'm pregnant. She takes pregnancy test, she goes to the doctor, nothing. But bruh, she felt like something was moving in her stomach. Like she felt like something was moving in her stomach. But anyway, she continues taking this thing. She gets very, very sick. She goes bad. She goes to the doctor and she finds out that she has some, like cancerous cells and everything. She does like everything that she has to do and she's fine. But after that, she talks to the doctor and wonders like, can I still get pregnant? And the doctor's like, yeah, you can. And then Spoo is telling her like, pusa lento, drink the thing that my mom gave you. You want to be fine. Like every time she would stop drinking it, she would be fine. But every time she would drink it again, she would like be sick again, until it got to a point where she was like, she's not going to drink it. Like she's not going to drink it at all. There was a time where she got very, very sick. that Spoo's mom moved in with them. And so when Spoo's mom moved in with them, like she was like, like on her case, like making sure that she's fine. To Spoo, it looked as if the mom is just caring, but to Mandy, it just felt like, no, mama, she doesn't like me, but she's doing so much. What is going on here? But anyway, so she started to pretend like she's drinking, but she wasn't drinking that thing. The entire time she's praying, she's fasting. While she was sleeping, she got like a revelation or whatever that she should throw that thing away. When she threw that thing away, that very same day, her and her mother-in-law had the hugest fight ever. And then the mother-in-law then Usbu came, and then the mother-in-law told Buguti, Yabona, I told you not to marry this woman. I told you not to marry this woman. She has a spiritual husband and everything and everything. And then they had such a big blowout that Mandy went back home. Like she packed her bags and she went back to her parents' house. When she went back to her parents' house, Sbu then, like the first few days, Sbu was like coming to try and check on her. They were trying to make it work, trying to make things come back together. But after some time, like she felt like Sbu was not like being himself. Even her mom told her, Mandy, okay, you fought with your mother-in-law, you didn't fight with your husband, just go back home. Just go back home and like be there with your husband. When she got there, like Spoo had suddenly started turning on her, talking mad rubbish about her, saying that yeah, everything that his mom has been saying is true, da 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 da. It got to a point where he started actually like hitting her. So she then had to get a divorce and everything. When she got a divorce, she started to like pray, fast, and all of those things. And when she was praying and fasting and praying and fasting and praying and fasting, she actually met someone who introduced her to a specific pastor, and they prayed and fasted for her. And she actually was like asking the pastor if like what her mother-in-law said was true. Does she have a spiritual husband? Is she bad luck? Is she the reason? What's going on? Because she really felt like she was, like she really felt like she was. Then they told her that no, that entire time, that mother-in-law, she never liked you. She felt like she's a person who does dark things. And so she didn't like your spirit. She doesn't like your spirit. When you are a dreamer, so you dream. So in your dreams, you would see what she's doing. And so she never liked you because of that. And she never liked you because she couldn't then get her way. Like she couldn't get her son to give her money and everything because when you were there. So she just wanted to take you out. And the stuff that she was giving you to help you get pregnant was not to help you get pregnant. It was actually burning your womb from the inside. But anyway, that's it for. So she says that her and Usbu got a divorce. They don't talk to each other at all. Like she's now married to someone else. She's happy and she has 2 kids. But she says that is her story of her Abafana Baya lawyer. But in this case, I actually don't know if Sbu knew. I don't know. What do you guys think?